Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Avoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
This is our official track record. As you can see, we've had a kind of a slow week, but steady. 3.57% growth. So we're about a third of the way through the month. So we're probably looking at a month of, I don't know, I'd say we can do about 10%. The market hasn't been as cooperating as well as it did January, February, and March. It's just we're getting less trades and we're hitting less full take profits. So that's something that we can't really control. We just have to make sure to let the system run and do its thing, and it's going to take whatever it can from the market. So overall, though, pretty good. We're definitely at new all-time highs. There's no question about that. It's just been, we just haven't had as many trades and haven't had as much profit as usual, just because I think maybe the volatility during that hour hasn't been as high. Usually we can have more ping pong going on, and that's what we're looking for, is maybe 20 or 30 pip swings up and down. And that's when the system is most profitable, especially like mode 2. When the market is doing that in mode 2, a lot of times we'll have the secondary trade trigger, and that trade's the one that really makes the profit. We keep getting a gentleman joining us as a.
It may be Fernando, or it may just be a.
I think I accidentally clicked on this person.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to remove again. Sorry. I'm afraid you cannot be a panelist today, my friend. We do. Let's go over a couple of questions if you can.
Yeah, so we got this one right here, Rob, which I don't know if we can, but maybe today, if do you have any of the back test, the analytics? Do you have any on that desktop, or is it on the other one?
This is my laptop. I can look to see if I have some reports that we did.
Yeah, even if it's an older one, that'd be cool. We can do this in the meantime. Let's see. So we do have the one question, which is, hey, so from 2006, what was the percent of return from there until now, with the different risk percentage?
Oh wow, it was.
Yeah.
It was really, really high. Let me see if I can't. Okay, I found a report, but it's actually this report's probably worth sharing. Let me go ahead and pull it up. I will share again. Okay. This is mode 2. Initial deposit was 5,000. Ending balance was a lot. Compounding really does. I mean, if you're compounding from 2006 to now, I mean, obviously the end number you're going to get is just something ridiculous. So what's more important, or what we can find more value in, is the overall tendencies of the system itself. And this, of course, is valuable as well, looking at how often we have losing months and how significant those losing months can be in comparison to our months that are winning. So this is mode 2. And you can see every year was profitable. 2013 was more or less flat, but every other year was making, 20, 30, 40% or so. So some over 100% in a year. And this, I believe, was done with, I want to say, 15 or 20% risk. So nothing too high for mode 2. So yeah, this is, I think, gives a decent idea of the monthly performance. As you can see, we're pretty much in line because our risk is probably double what this account is doing. And you can see that there's months like that are making 5, 6%. So on our account, that would be 10, 12, 13% or so. And this year, we've actually done better than that. We've had months that are, I think, as high as like 17 or 18%. So it's all quite in line with this because, like I said, our official account is running at twice the risk.
And this is mode 1 and 2, Robert. That's what that was. Mode 1 and 2.
Just mode 2.
Okay, just mode 2.
Someone really wants to be a panelist, and I think we should let him in just because he keeps trying to be.
Let's just, yeah, I mean, worst
Let's
case
just
scenario,
go with it.
we just have a little guest on the show today.
Why not? I'm unmute him and see what happens.
Hello, unless it's a troll.
No, it's not a troll. He's a community member.
Okay.
So today we're having a special guest.
Hey,
I don't even know if he knows he's a panelist.
Is this Kalma-san?
I would introduce him, but I'm gonna mess up the name.
Yeah.
Let's answer some questions though while he's unmuting.
Sure.
Oh, and now Fernando's gonna try to come in, but he's coming in so late. I don't know if we should let him. I'm so mean. Let me see if I can find Mr. Nando. He has his hand raised. There he is. Okay, I'll promote Fernando. Yeah, what was interesting is when I tried to promote it, it moved him really quickly. Now Fernando disappeared. So clearly he doesn't want to be here that badly. He's having some internet issues.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, this next question, one of the ones that's in the Q&A is, can you guys please put the info in a PDF and share it so that they could share it with other people and like promote it? I'm not sure the rules on that with the Voria. Do you know anything about that, Rob? Fernando,
the rules regarding,
I guess, giving people access to a back test, the link or like the PDF. I'm not sure.
We can definitely give. I believe we can give people access to the PDF. I don't think that's going to be a problem, or at least we can give them the first couple of pages. So that's like, as far as like a breakdown of every trade that was placed, probably not. But that's like, that document would be, hundreds and hundreds of pages long.
Yes. The main, I think even just page 1 would be fine, honestly. Just page 1.
Yeah, the page showing like the monthly returns and everything else, I don't think would be a problem at all. So yeah, I think that can be done. And it looks like now we have 4 panelists today, but only 2 are allowed to speak or show their face.
That is correct. You are not allowing me to show my pretty face today, sir.
You want me to make you a co-host?
Well, that's up to you. I'm gonna leave the call to your kind heart.
All right, you are now a co-host. We actually have a 4-man team today. We invited a community member to speak if he so chooses to. He hasn't chosen to speak yet, but he's also a panelist.
There we go. I like it. Hello, everyone.
We're going very unconventional. What I did manage to do is actually start the stream, which I'm very proud of, because you just were like, "Hey, here's my password. Figure it out, Robert." Okay, let me start pushing buttons here and see what happens.
I figure you're a smart enough cat to start a meeting, sir.
Yeah, what can I say? But anyway, so got
I know
that
you
going.
like push buttons.
Yeah, I started pushing some buttons and something happened, and it seemed like I invited one of our community members to join. So we have 4 panelists today.
I like that. That seems fine.
Right now he's just kind of listening, but at some point he's probably going to chime in.
There we go.
So we went over some historical data of mode 2, showing kind of what it was doing. One person was asking what the percentage of the report was. I believe it was 20%. I believe it was 20%. And sharing modes, okay. Someone's asking if we can share the PDFs, and what me and Nick were talking about is we could probably share the first couple pages of it so people could see like the monthly on the quant analyzer report. I don't think that would be a problem at all, right?
Yeah, I think that should be fine. Actually, I can ask Susan if we can have it in the AP Academy, so pretty much everyone can access it at any time. I think that's going to be fine.
I agree. I think that's a good idea.
Oh, I think we do have Dylan here. Actually, that would be a fun idea if we also invite Dylan. I mean, it's kind of like an out of the ordinary Zoom call today. Let me check if that's his right last name before we do something.
We could just let's do this. I'm gonna get in trouble.
I think we're gonna get in trouble.
when I pause and say let's do this, be careful.
Were you thinking of doing like a little trade-off, a little trade challenge? Like,
Dylan's saying that he can say some funny things. So
ooh.
Okay.
Say
I
some
mean,
jokes.
if we're gonna get in trouble for moving someone to the panelist side, I think the regaño is gonna be the same if we move 2 persons. So
no,
it's the same.
It's like a show, you know.
Yeah, you invite people. It's like, hey, caller 3, hello, you're live.
there we go. Let's allow Mr. Dylan to speak.
It's like hey Rob. It's like so you were using Neo and you had a loss. You left Neo for another EA and didn't just keep the relationship going. And now you want to come back to Neo? That's what you want to do? That's what you're telling me.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
There we go.
It's like a dating show.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, it's quite funny because I've seen some messages in the group chat saying, hey, how New is doing? And then all of the community members are like, well, making profits. And oh, by the way, did we went through the disclaimer already? Just before we get in trouble?
First thing we did is we told people that they're going to double their money next week.
Oh,
then
okay,
we read the disclaimer.
That seems to be about right. So, yeah.
If they don't, just to write a Borea Prime, and they'll take care of you. They'll top your account up.
There we go. They're gonna send the Lambo in.
Joking.
We are disclaimer proof, sir. Yeah,
So
but actually, what I was trying to say is that I saw some messages, I think this week on the community chat, and then some people were, hey, how Neo is doing? And then everyone is like, well, we've been making profits. It's been a long time without having a stop loss. And then they were, oh crap, I shouldn't have left.
Well, yeah. I kind of told them, I hate to be the guy that says I told you so,
Yeah.
but I told them that they will come back just in time for their next stop loss because they left now we're at new all-time highs. So not saying that they shouldn't start. Now it's not a bad time. Anytime is a good time to start. So, I mean, just the beginning of this year, we had like 3 months without a stop loss. So it's very possible the streak right now, I think we're at what, a month without a stop loss or something like that?
Yeah, maybe a little over a month. I think last month we didn't have any.
5 weeks or so.
Yeah, give or take.
I want to know, why can't Dylan speak? Do I need to push something?
I think he needs to be a
I just had to press my mute button.
What's up, there we go.
This is the first time that we've actually had a community member join the panelists team.
Yeah.
Well,
and Fernando is really
honored.
smart.
Thank you.
No, thank you for having us. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience so far with Neo?
Well, I have to tell you, it's been fantastic. Thanks. You know, I was just thinking about some of the Avoria Prime members that bailed and then have come back, or maybe some that have left. And and are just looking for that holy grail. I've been with Avoria Prime now for a little over a year, and I've gone through some of their software. And the more I learn about the markets and technical aspects of trading, and play with other expert advisors. The thing that I really, really like about Neo is that it trades in a very, well, shouldn't say very predictable, but I think if any of you guys watch the chat, we can almost predict when Neo's taking a buy or a sell. Not always, of course, but I love the period of time that Neo trades, and I love the style that it trades. And it gives me some confidence that I don't have with other EAs that kind of guess based on, well, let's just place a trade, see what happens, and then it goes in a certain direction and it keeps placing more trades in martingale style. So, for more technical traders, and you guys see in the chat, there's some very intelligent traders chiming in that like Neo and like Neo how it trades. So, have some faith in that. And if you don't feel comfortable trading live money, then trade on a demo. You'll learn more. Don't focus on just making your money back. If you want to make your money back, then bring in a few more people to join the show.
Yeah, because Dylan, once you bring in, is it 3 and free, or is it that's
it's 3. Invite 3 friends. And to be honest, that's not why I'm here at Avoria. I only have 2 friends in a year, so I've not been my focus. But it's pretty easy if you really want to do it.
Yeah, it's better to have a small, good group of friends. If you don't have many, it's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just kidding, man. No, that's awesome.
Hey, it's a good way to make friends. You got that person at the gym that you always say hi to, but you don't really talk to or something. You just walk up to them and be like, hey, are you into bots? Just see where things go.
Yeah.
And set proper expectations. I feel like a lot of people lure people in with this, again, the holy grail, just, put $500 in and you'll double your money in a month. I mean, set proper expectations. It's an incredible opportunity, but it's not, it's not with its risks, right?
Yeah. Whenever you're make a trade, there's going to be some level of risk, no matter what. That's just the name of the game, nature of the beast. So the idea is controlling the risk and trying to skew the odds into your favor. And that's what Neo does. I mean, it's a system that will take losses along the way, but that's what it's designed to do. It's not a system to where it's like, it's always going to make profit and one day you wake up and your account is 0. That's not the way it's designed. So that's kind of been something that people are used to, like grids and martingales. Sometimes they have a hard time adapting to that, like the idea of actually taking a loss and not risking all their capital. And they just have to kind of mature as traders to understand, okay, listen, not all weeks, not all months are going to be profitable. But then again, I'm stopping myself from having a complete margin call or something like that. So I think that the community is becoming more mature regarding that. And people are becoming more mature regarding risk as well. So yeah, I'm happy to see these changes.
Yeah, and on another note too, just from a technical perspective, and the thing that I really love about EAs or bots, and this was my experience at least, when people get into trading, we're in a different era now. It's like information overload. So there's so much information, out there now. It's like hard to filter through good strategies, bad strategies. And the cool thing is this is a statistical data-based approach where we actually have a strategy and we have, 15 years of data that we're operating off of, and it held up, and, now we're applying that in real time. So I think even for people that are, like meme stock trading and the pump and dumps are big right now, and that's going to last for a period of time. There's going to be a period where the government comes in and regulations come in that area. I think it has to happen. But, if someone's really interested in trading long-term and just understanding the frameworks with bots and EAs, it actually helps you be a better manual trader too, because most people right now, they'll look at a strategy online, they'll look at YouTube, they'll look at Google or whatever it is. And what most people believe, and I believe this too, actually, when I first started trading, is you have a strategy and it works the same on every single instrument. And as I've jumped more and more into EAs and bots, it's really opened up my eyes that even if you have a great strategy, it's not going to perform the same on different instruments. It's going to perform differently. And that's because different instruments are like different people. They have different characteristics and moods. So I think, especially with everything going on from just, society and people getting more interested in trading, over the last 2 years, that is a thing. This is really a good opportunity for them to, at least wrap their head around the, these thought processes and workflows too, which will ultimately make them a better trader. At least that's my take on it.
Can I add one thing to that?
Sure.
That is a major difference between the EA and manual trading. Most people can't handle manual trading just because they can't handle controlling their emotions. And what EAs give you the opportunity to do is completely remove the emotion. And so many people in the chat find themselves, I think, you're sitting there watching the chart. I mean, watch a 1 minute chart for a minute and think like, oh my God, it's going up. Oh my God, it's going down. Oh my God, it's never going to stop. But an EA gives you an opportunity to completely remove your emotions. It's an opportunity, but even still, people can screw up an EA because they get, oh my God, it's going the wrong direction. So they close out with, a 2% loss. And then as it turns out, well, at the end of the day, most people that just let it run got profit on it. And the manual trading is a hard jump to make. And not many people can act like a robot, and EAs do. So
yeah, absolutely. And I would say that's something that on my end, being more aggressive is natural. Like that's just, like I like to take risks. So, making that switch, it is ultimately the switch that people should take. And there's things that I probably can't say, but, me, Fernando, and Rob are working on some things on the back end, which ultimately will solve one of the things that I would like to think people would like, which would be able to give you guys more flexibility and opportunity to, trade other instruments and get a little bit more ability to do some testing on your end with different add-ons. I don't know when that's going to be able to push live. That's probably all I could say there. Fernando maybe has a better idea, but we are working on some things that I think would make Neo a little bit more interesting, because it's the positive of using a system like this, because it's so finely crafted, but at the same time, it's also, it's a little, it is boring. It's like, hey, this is what it's going to do. This is the time of day. Everything's known. There's not that necessarily mystery, but that's what makes it such a great system.
But Nick, I must say, boring is very subjective. I don't consider boring when you're able to spend the money and go to the Bahamas for a weekend boring. So for me, trading should be boring. If you're trading, it should be boring. But boring traders are the ones that are actually calculating their risk and the reward, and they end up being the ones that end up having a happy Christmas at the end of the year.
I totally agree. I guess I'm saying from a user's perspective, like, there's just not the
thrill of a huge martingale basket open on the verge of exploding, and it could go either way. I agree. Trading should not be exciting.
Where's the drawdown at, Robert? Like, come on, man. You gotta get
save the fun for when you're spending your profits from being patient. Trading should be boring.
Yeah, the emotional thrill.
It's almost like some people. It's almost like some people search out the pain. Like if you really want that, go with, well, I shouldn't say go with a martingale system, because that's not accurate. There's definitely some martingale systems that can put you in trouble. But if you've never seen a live account go under 100% margin and start turning red in MT4 and M4, MT5, then you haven't really lived.
It's watching an account get a stop out is a special experience. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I developed a system years ago called Forex Envy. You can actually Google that if you want, Forex Envy. Anyways, this was like almost 10 years ago, and it was a Mardi grid, and it was better odds. It was better odds than going to Vegas, but it was a wild system. The returns were great, but it was completely emotional. It was a very, very emotional system. All the users would be like, okay, let's crank it up and blah, blah, blah. And we'd have a huge basket of trades open, and we'd all be praying for a reversal and all this stuff. And it was a good learning experience for me. But I no longer recommend like systems that risk the entire account. But we did suffer a few stop outs. There's no question about that.
But when it came through, dude, they were popping champagne.
Yeah, exactly. It's hilarious. It's very emotional trading. Very emotional. So Neo is the opposite. It's meant to be a boring system, but it's meant to be a system that at the end of the year, you have money to spend for Christmas or whatever.
So Robert, would you say anytime an account's nickname is Big Flipper or Flipper, it's probably not a good account if that's the nickname?
Flip flop? Probably not. No. Or something to do with moon or something to do with like rockets or something. Probably not the best idea, because that most likely means that there's going to be a lot of volatility along the way and may end in tears.
Rocket.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing. In my personal opinion, I think manual trading is a very special beast. And when it comes to combining that with EAs and stuff, that's really, I mean, if you're accustomed to, be in the charts, let's say 1, 2, 3 hours a day, manual trading, checking out a bunch of charts, doing a bunch of stuff. And then all of a sudden you just gotta turn on something, maybe check in a few minutes a day. Then you're like, well, I still have like another 2 hours allocated for my trading. And then you start moving buttons, and that's when you start, or you want to start to feel that thrill, or that kind of like fun experience with EA. But it's a tricky thing, because as Rob said, any serious EA needs to be boring. Because if you're trading under a sounded strategy, if you're trading under a sounded system, then you know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly what you're expecting to. You know how the system behaves. Maybe to some degree or another, you do have more or less experience with it, because, well, at least we developed Neo. Obviously, we know what it's doing under the hood, or at least to some degree, because there's some adaptation involved. And obviously, we don't know kind of like what the real-time structure is. But we do have a very good idea about what's cooking. But even if you haven't, or if you're obviously haven't developed Neo, but still have a really good idea, as Dylan has, about what it's doing, then it might even be boring sometimes. But that's just the way it is. I mean, because that's the sound of strategy. You know what it takes to make that strategy work. When it comes to market conditions, you know what it takes for that strategy to break. So you just avoid those days, But if you're accustomed to having that thrill, that fun, that, oh, let's check this chart, oh, let's do this, oh, let's do that, then that's more a manual trading type of thing, right?
And what that breaks down to, it's really people being addicted to like
Yeah.
spikes, which is actually just like an effect of like what's going on right now and just where we're at, in society, right? Because that's like, so I don't personally get on TikTok, but I know people like they get on TikTok and then, it's 15, 20 seconds, of just, spiking their dopamine. And that's why like things like dopamine detox, where you actually like eliminate those things from your life and you become, just, a normal, human being that can like survive without those spikes, happens. And that's why if you are on this call right now, you're watching the replay and you find yourself like really wanting those spikes, you need to do a dopamine detox. That's what you need to do. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because the thing is that, I mean, if you have an EA that's big, quote unquote, funny, and where funny is just having to be constantly on the charts, having to, just, I mean, you might understand exactly why it got into a trade, but one thing is understanding why you're in the market, and another thing is figuring out if that trade actually makes sense, to just to be, and if you're with an EA that you have to constantly be on top of it, that you gotta be praying for a reversal because you have a massive amount of trades open, or because that if things get out of control, you're at risk of losing the entire account, then perhaps you're just gambling. I mean, you might as well, as Rob said, I mean, go to Vegas or go to a casino, because either way, if you are having trouble with handling NEA, that right off the bat seems to be behaving like it's not a sound strategy, or that it's behaving like it's putting the entire account on the line, then I mean there's not much difference from just going to a casino. You might just do an all-in with a nice-ish Texas Hold'em hand, or just start make or putting coins into a slot machine, and then seeing if something goes good, because yeah, that's gonna give you the thrill. That's gonna give you the, oh, or we're gonna make money today. Oh, we're gonna have a reversal soon. Obviously, that brings up the excitement, but it brings up the excitement from the wrong perspective. It brings the excitement from a perspective of from the vision of, oh, I might lose my account, I might not lose my account, so I'm excited about the fact of not losing it and maybe potentially make some money. But that shouldn't be the case. I mean, you should know what the strategy is doing. You should know what it's typically doing, what it's typically designed to do. And you just tune in a few minutes a day, move some stuff, say, oh, okay, this day seems to be a little funny. Let's just skip it. And you might just think to yourself, oh, this is boring. Well, yeah, that's the actual point of everything. If you have a sound strategy that's performing good, that you have massive amounts of data to back it up, then you're set pretty much.
So for Fernando, on this one right here, so we have Alicia. She just got involved a few days ago, and she said she has mode 2 on at 40%, but no trades have been taken. Does that sound about right?
No, actually, I think I typed an answer to that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I think so. Basically, I would check if under the experts tab there are some errors or something. That's going to tell us if something is wrong with the setup, or make sure to check the PDF guidelines. That's going to tell you if you're meeting the minimum balances required to run mode 2 at that risk level. So that's going to pretty much give you the idea of what's going on, if it's normal, if it's not normal. So, and actually, I'm just going to take this to segue. I mean, the stuff that I was mentioning before, I'm going to take that to segue into some of the questions that we have. And when you have a sounded strategy, when you have a solid trading system, obviously you have an idea about what's happening, but also one thing is, okay, so when it comes to algo trading, there are two very, very different things that are very, very related together. One is having a sounded strategy. In the NEO's case, we have actually mentioned what the strategy of NEO is. It's just trading during low volatility periods of the day, where, well, market seems to be not flying all over the place, as it usually does during London session, during New York session, or even depending on how the news are or how the overall market outlook is, even during Asia session. We just take leverage of the fact that there is little movement in the market, and that's our alpha, which is the fancy way of saying that is the quote unquote secret sauce that we're trying to exploit. Now, that's one thing. Another completely different thing is how you move this concept that you're trying to use for a trading strategy to an actual system. That's the things that we cannot mention. Well, and it's very simple. And the answer to that is very simple. That's because, well, we do a decent amount of business using our strategies, and that's just confidential information from us. We can't say, hey, when this, and this happens, and these types of active adaptations starts kicking in, then you're going to see a trade. We can't do that because, well, if I do, then Rob is going to beat me with a bat. And probably if he does, I'm going to do the same to him. So, but yeah, that's kind of like the overall concept. We can't tell you, hey, we're going to see a trade when this happens because, well, we are custodians of a very good trading system. And, well, even though we can say what's the broad concept or the broad idea behind it, we can't tell you, hey, these are the rules, go make your own. Life is not that easy. I mean, but what I'm trying to say with this is that the amount of information that we can provide to back what NEO does it's still very big, and it's very broad. And for example, yesterday we were having some chatting on the group, saying, hey, I don't understand NEO. I don't know the exact reason why it takes a trade. Well, that's because you didn't develop it. And unfortunately, we can't tell you the exact same reasons why Neo takes a trade, if that makes sense. However, what I can tell you, and actually that's also another part, and actually, well, let me finish that thought first. And this is the reason why we can't give a very in-depth information about what Neo does. And that's because, well, it's proper information. It's a very solid system. It's a system that's been tested and stress tested a lot. Let me just summarize it as that. And we can back that up. We can tune in into the calls, clarify any information that you see fit. That's coming from one of the Q&A questions that we have active right now. If you think that the Myfxbook information is not enough, if you think that the information inside of AP Academy is not enough, you can ask here. That's the purpose of these calls. You can ask here. We can give you further information. And obviously, if you just ask us, hey, open the source code for Neo, I want to take a look at it. I mean, that's not something that we're going to do, but you can ask for it. I mean, you're going to get a no as an answer, but well, that's something that you can do ask for. So yeah. And then segueing into the next important topic that I wanted to cover today is yesterday or a few trading sessions ago, we had a very interesting situation. That situation was that we got out for profit on the official account. My personal account did too. A lot of users got out for a profit, but some users got a massive requote from the broker that threw both trades from mode 2 into a loss. It wasn't a significant loss really, but it was a loss. And then there was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of some sort of hesitance, so to speak, to know if we should, I mean, if Neo is quote unquote transparent enough, so to speak, to where people, pretty much people were trying to understand why some people had a loss, why some people had a profit within a basket. And then, yeah, there was some rubbing points. Some users were a little uncomfortable about it. And then I wanted to explain why that is. The markets in general, when it comes to FX, markets, there's a thing, okay, and that thing is that it's not centralized. What that means is that you don't need to, I mean, you don't have a central quote. I can have a quote for Euro USD in one broker, and I can have a different quote for at the same time in another broker from the same for the same pair. Now, with that said, that is because brokers use different liquidity providers. Those are the ones that are actually filling your order. So one of them can tell you, hey, I can get your order closed right away. And they do. They typically do. That's why you do see some differences from broker to broker. But what happens is the broker that you're using all of a sudden says, okay, you're into a trade. I'm going to allow you to close it. But it just happens that I'm going to allow you to close it at a different price. And then you figure out that until the order is closed, because it's already out. The order no longer exists. So then you have that requote, the difference in quotes from where you got in and where you actually close the trade. And that's called slippage. That just happens to be characteristic of the FX market. Some people got a very bad slippage yesterday, and that's a broker question. You can ask your broker, hey, why did I had such a massive requote on my orders? And they can give you the further explanation to that. But ultimately speaking, those differences can happen from time to time. And that's actually a good thing, because if you have all the orders going at the exact same time, which is from a tech standpoint, it's impossible. But if you were to be able to have that set up, it still wouldn't be a bad idea. If it still wouldn't be a good idea, let me correct that. Because if you have all the orders going through at the same time, it's going to eat up the liquidity at the same time. And then it starts being a matter of the persons that get the order first are the ones that are making profit, because the rest of the users are just getting a massive requote. Now, since Neo adapts to the spreads, to the differences in data feed, to the differences in brokers, you also have the broker factor. You also have the latency factor. You also even have the processing time factor that's adding noise pretty much to when a trade is firing, then that makes it to where, oh, I'm trading right now. Then a few seconds later comes Dylan. And then maybe a few seconds before that I got into the trade, Rob already was into a trade. And then it just happens that, for example, my trade was at the exact same time as Nick's trade. Then all these kind of like scaling into the trade makes it to where you start to have less issues because of these. But it still can happen that you just happen to have an issue from time to time where you have a massive slippage, and that's just the nature of the beast. And if anything, you should actually ask your broker about it, because it's not something that it's a neo side. It's something mainly that the broker needs to control. And actually, Hannah is sharing right now. Actually, give me 1 second. I'm not sure if you want to add some thoughts on that, Nick or Rob. That was kind of like a mouthful, by the way.
Honestly, that was such an epic rant that I'm gonna go ahead and just drop the mic for you. And so I think we're good on that one. Let's look at some questions though before we have to sign off. There's some Q&As.
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah. There's a very technical one.
Who wants to decipher that one?
I can do it. No, actually, the thing is, okay, Henry is pretty much suggesting some code implementations for limiting the close slippage. And here's the thing. There are obviously some ways that you can just internally check the prices to see if, oh, I'm trying to close the orders at whatever price point that is, right? So I want to check if the price has moved to see if, well, I have a slippage, and if I were to close them, at a loss. But here's the thing. If you do that and internally the code checks and says, okay, right now the rates that I'm having are the right quotes or the right price rates to close my trades for profit, I'm going to send the order. But the moment that you send, or the moment where you send the order close command to the broker, at that point, you know that you had at that moment in time, at that so to speak, at that period in time, at that period in the markets or in the flow of the just quotes, you know that if you were to close at that exact same price point, you were to get out for profit. That's your logic is very good, is very right. If you can keep closing on the loop, you can keep you can keep checking within a loop. You can even set a timer to check every whatever amount of seconds to see if the orders match. Actually, if just what you mentioned, if the order close price is matching the bid or ask, just so you know if you're actually getting a slippage or not. And then if everything checks, then you just say, okay, let me close my order, and then you send the request to the broker to close the order. But what happens is that all the time that you're taking to do that internal checking opens the door for requotes. And it might even happen that at the point where you actually have that match, that part in time or that period in time where you say, okay, I'm not getting a slippage anymore, I'm going to send the request for the broker to close my order. And it's actually the exact same as me saying, okay, I'm going to review my trades. I'm going to review my data feeds. Okay, I see that everything checks. So I'm going to take this piece of paper, which, well, obviously it's not physically a piece of paper, but it's a tech command. And you're going to say, okay, Mr. Broker, I see stuff that tells me that I should close my trade. Here's a request for you to close my trade. And then you hand the paper to the broker. Then the broker takes it and says, okay, I received your paper, I received your request, but it just happens that by the time that I got that request in my hand, the price moved. And because of the price moved, I'm going to honor your request. But since that request does not have a field that says, hey, broker, do not close the trade if there's a requote, the order close command doesn't have that feature. And then since that's not an option for me to check into that paper, the broker is just going to say, okay, okay, Mr. Google is, yeah, I got the Google thing activated on the phone. Anyway, the broker is going to say, hey, I cannot fill you, or I cannot close your trade at the price that you requested. But since I don't have the obligation to match the price, I'm just going to close it at the best price that I can. Then it just happens that that price throws the entire trade basket from a profit to a losing trade basket. And now if your broker is fishy, if your broker is not a good company, or they don't have good practices, then they can use actually that as an excuse to constantly be requoting your trades and throwing your trades at a loss. If you're using a market maker broker, you gotta keep in mind that if you make money, they lose money. If they lose money, you make money. So that's a clear issue, when you have a successful trading system. So that's when it
for market makers, just for market. Just want to jump in. Yeah, not all brokers have the interest in contrast with your interest. Some brokers are straight through processors, or you know what I mean. So they'll just pass off the orders to the open market. I think almost every broker does some booking with smaller orders, but a quality broker, the majority of their trades are passed on to the open market, so they don't have, their interests are aligned with yours.
Exactly, and that's the thing. I mean, that can happen. That's just a characteristic of the FX markets, But if that happens way too often, then and you have a market maker broker, then you gotta start to pull the strings, and see if this doesn't seem to be right. It's something that can happen on occasion, but then all of a sudden you start to see that on occasion starts to be pretty much every time, So yeah, that's that actually is why we really tell our users, do make sure that you have a good broker, because that's something that can make or break a strategy, aside of actually try to making the analogy that I made the last on the last call, time with Neo, it beats timing Neo.
Oh, I love that quotable. Fernando Heno is dropping some code in the Q&A. He's just dropping some code.
Dropping some code. Yeah.
There we go.
I think this is a challenge, like a code off. Someone walks up like this, we throw some code down. Fernando's going to throw some code back at him, and we just kind of watch.
Actually, he did have a very strong point. It does seem that the order close command does have a slippers thing. And actually, now that I think about it, yes, it does have a slippers thing. Actually you can control that. Now that I remember, Neo does have a thing to where you can tell them, hey, don't give me a requote larger than 1 pip. But you also have to consider this other side of the story. And actually, let me just make that up. Let me just rephrase that up. Actually, you can.
You have 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Oh. So in that piece of paper, returning to the analogy, you can actually tell the broker, hey, don't close my trade unless there's this big of a requote. You can do that. Now that Hannah mentions it, and now that I'm double checking with the code stuff, it is a possibility, yes. So my bad. You can request the broker to not have a big slippage, but you gotta also consider, if you're telling the broker, hey, do not close my trade if there's gonna be a big requote. The same way that you can do that and just have your trades open, you can actually get stuck into a trade that you just happen to be still part of when everyone else is just closed already, because you rejected the requote from the broker, right? So that's,
may I say something?
Yeah, sure.
I think it would be really valuable, especially during the 0 hour, to have something to where, because I mean, this week we had an issue to where there was a price spike, and with the price spike, it closed both trades for mode 2 for a loss, or maybe mode 1 trade was overall it was a loss. So it would be awesome if we could have some way to stop that during the 0 hour at least.
Actually, we do. Possible. Yeah, it's possible. What we can do is just make use of the slipper machine, but right now it's at 10 pips, which is very, very large,
10 pips or 10 points?
Pips. It's on pips. So yeah, we can just play with that input, drop it to 1. That should get the issue solved, but that's also gonna open the door to get you stuck into a trade when everyone else has just closed it already, which might even be the difference between having a stop loss or having a nice profit, or even a small loss. I mean, a big stop loss, full stop loss versus a slight loss, because of slippage. That's also something to consider.
Yeah, and this doesn't happen very often. This is not a regular occurrence, but it's happened since, I don't know, maybe a few times this year, where on the 0
Yeah, it's
hour
just a
there's been a
handful of
whipsaw.
time.
Yeah, but still, it's not very much fun. It's like, oh, my
Exactly.
trade's closed and I lost.
It's not a full stop loss, so
No,
anyway,
no, it's usually just closing for a slight loss. That's all. But
exactly,
anyways, Hanno,
exactly.
thank you so much for all of your great input. I enjoy listening to you and Fernando kind of go back and forth on ideas on things of this nature. So